Ambiences are a must to use in any track to fill up empty space, add tension, or shape the vibe of a track. And today me and Secret will show you how to make your own ambient samples.
We will cover more basic techniques as blurred, tremolo and granular ambiences, and as the video progresses, we will show you more advanced techniques.
First off, we'll be starting with blurred ambiences. To create them, you can grab any kind of sound, for example a simple saw wave, or you can grab also a vocal sound. Here we have a simple saw wave sound, we have a minor chord, and we can, for example, arpeggiate it. So we get more information, more harmonic content. Simply load up a convolver with the blur white preset, which is basically taking white noise as the impulse response for the convolver, and this will totally blur the sound. Take this as the base of the technique and you can use any kind of sound for that. We can copy the arp to a piano, for example, and let it run through the convolver itself. And you get a very nice lush bed. We can do the same for a vocal, for example. And when we turn on the convolver, it's going to turn into a nice evolving pad. And when you have a sample like this, you can just go to Edison, hit Ctrl B, it's gonna bring up the blur tool. And you have to set the amount to the maximum, so it's gonna get blurred all the way. So that's the base of most drones that you hear in any song.
So next, let's move on to granular ambiences. So for granular ambiences, we're gonna use a granulizer. Here we're gonna be using Quanta. So let's take Quanta, and here we're gonna load a basic sound. Here I have a piano playing one note on different octaves. We're gonna throw it into a basic Quanta. Once we have it in Quanta, we need to adjust the oscillator. We don't want the oscillator to play 0 level. And then we just need to put the grains on max so the sound is blurred like crazy. After that, we're gonna adjust the length of the notes. Most important thing is to adjust the position. So we're gonna take the position and randomize. I'm gonna play it for you. The more randomized on the position you have, the wider the spectrum of here, it's gonna take. So basically, more randomized in this case, it's gonna be more notes playing and more different positions. And of course, instead of piano, you can load any sample and try it with. It can be tonal, atonal, whatever. And also, instead of loading octaves of different sounds, you can load, for example, an ad-lib or a vocal. And you get this beautiful, nice texture.
Next we have Tremolo Ambiences. These have more movement than the previous ones, so you can get a bit of rhythm in your breaks, for example. I love to use them in breaks, and a lot of other producers do as well. Usually when we make them, we start with a guitar as the base of the ambience. For example, we have this nice guitar sound.
Usually we are using muted guitars instead of guitars that have a lot of harmonics.
Next we need to layer them with some kind of synth. Usually we like to go for very basic wavetables and try to make them interesting in the process as well. We like to use the basic shapes, for example a sine wave with some bend. When you introduce bend, it starts to go into a saw wave without the super high harsh harmonics. Also, if you have a bit of noise, that can help as well to bring a bit more texture in the sound. It's just basically 2 octaves stacked on top of them. Then we have another sound. This is playing a fifth on top, which works a lot with breaks. If you just put a fifth on the whole break, it's gonna sound pretty nice. So we like to add it as well here. And it's a very similar sound, we just copied the same sound. It has more bend, so it has more harmonics as well. So for the processing itself, we first go into a reverb to have the sound more in the background, of course, since it's an ambience. And then we run it through an LFO tool. You can use also Shaper Box for that. So we set it to the rate of 1/16, so it matches the guitar rate. And of course you can pan it left and right as well to create a bit of width in the sound. And when we play them together with the guitar, we get this.
Since it's missing some of the top harmonics, we just added one more sound on top, which is like a kind of string sound.
I'm gonna show you how I actually made this and recorded it.
And we just added this sound to like fill up the frequency spectrum a bit more.
And we routed all these sounds into one bus to add a bit more attack, since this has to have a bit more attack. We use spiff for that. So when we're gonna play it with spiff, this is what we get. I'm just gonna turn on delta so you can hear what's being actually added. Basically, if you follow this formula, you're gonna get some tremolo ambiences as you have seen in our packs, and you can make your own library of them and you can change sound so they sound a bit different. As you can see, this process can be very time consuming. So if you wanna skip this step, we created a huge ambience pack for you, which includes 180 tonal and melodic ambiences and 20 textures that you can literally slap on top of any kind of break, transition, I don't know, you name it. There are no limits for this one.
We made them all in the same BPM and labeled them by key. We also embedded all the BPMs into the wave file, so they're gonna adjust by themselves and stretch to match your project BPM. So let us show you a few examples.
As you could hear, these had a lot of notes in them. We call them melodic ambiences, and we're gonna show you how you can make them as well. But we also included some one-note ambiences that you can mix and match together, add a fifth, add a third, I don't know, you can create your own chords, and they're all different, so it's gonna create a very nice mesh of sounds. So if any of these resonated with you and you would like to check them out and support us, you can check the link in the description or head over to sixsounds.com.
So as promised, let's move to the melody ambiences. And basically, we're just gonna reuse what we showed you before. So we have the guitar, we have the tremolo synth, then we have the height string, and we also have the granular piano. So if you put them all together, we get this. And to basically make a melody ambience, you need a base of these kind of sounds, and then just grab a synth. For example, here we are going with Serum. This is a plug from our new pack that's gonna come out sometime in the future. And basically what we're gonna do is to take the plug and make a melody. And all we are adding afterwards, we are just adding some ROM and some EQ to cut the bass, to sit more with the ambience. And we also have this little synth here, which you can barely hear, but I'm gonna show it to you. It's this guy.
So with this framework, you can create all kinds of ambiences, and we ourselves use this framework to create our packs as well. But these were kind of basic, I would say. We use a lot of sound design techniques that kind of create more advanced ambiences, I would say, I don't know. And we're gonna show you a few of them that we kind of learned when making the Ambience Pack.
So when it comes to ambiences, we need to have a strong source sound. So for example, here we just have a basic sine wave. Nothing too special, but to make it more unique, we need to introduce harmonics. And there's a lot of ways how you can introduce harmonics, so we're gonna show you a few. For example, we can use the FM from B. And on top of that, we can introduce harmonics with, for example, distortion, saturation, and all kinds of effects. So here I have a phase distortion, which is my favorite. We get these all kinds of cool harmonics. We can also do alter boy, put the pitch 1 octave up and the format 1 octave down. And we get this very interesting kind of harmonics, and just the sound sounds much different. You don't have to do the pitch, for example. You know, sounds a bit different. You can also introduce drive. So let's say we can combine them, you know. So we have the band plus here, we have the phase distortion and alter boy together.
I mean, we're still doing ambiences, so this is how we usually kind of set up to get more different harmonics, and then we kind of get them into space with, for example, you know, just delay. We can also use convolver with white noise that we showed before to blur the sound. Or you can just use a basic reverb that it doesn't have to be super blurred, for example. And of course, if you watched my patcher plugins video, you know that I made the colorizer patcher, which we used a lot to make ambiences. So it has a smear function in here, and you can pitch the whole reverb or smear 1 octave up. When it comes to distortion or adding harmonics, you can also use a plugin like Trash 2, for example, which also comes with convolution, filtering, and distortion, of course. And when we want to go into more creative kind of thing, we like to use Rift to just basically get random results with not a lot of effort, I guess. So you get the results that you don't expect when you pick random presets from Rift, for example. And of course, we love to use Portal for kind of glitchy delays or granulized delays, and you can get some results that you don't expect as well. And then you have a lot of harmonics, different kind of effects that you probably wouldn't come up with yourself. And you can drown it in reverb and use it as an ambience, or just use it like this if you like it. And of course, you don't have to synthesize everything yourself, because, you know, we have a whole environment around ourselves that can give some pretty interesting harmonic sounds, or inharmonic as well, which you can turn into harmonic sounds. We're gonna show you. You heard that we have this like one note ambience in the Tremolo Ambience part of this video. You can stop this video and comment down below what you think it is, but I'm gonna show it to you now. Believe me or not, it's this. If you get your finger wet and go around, that can be an ambience as well, you know. You can also go into the forest and record the sound of a forest there, and I don't know, maybe add some kind of peaks into it so it gets more harmonic. So we have this forest snow texture. And in this forest snow sample, you can add peaks to make it harmonic. So all you need to do is to make a very sharp kind of bell, then double click. For example, let's have it at C5 and turn up the gain to around plus 30 dB. And you can make a few of these peaks. And you can turn any atonal sound into a tonal ambience. Just to preview, we can kind of go through our textures from the pack we have. For example, let's use a water one. Tonal fire is kind of sick. I don't know. You tell me.
Tonal fire is kind of fire.
It's kind of fire. And of course, there are no limitations at all to all these techniques. These are just frameworks we use. You can break them as you want. And for example, I don't know, you can half time your ambiences as well. Just bounce them to audio. And when you have it in audio, we can basically just stretch it. And I'm gonna turn the mode to resample. So it's gonna pitch down basically 1 octave. So I think it's kind of cool, but it's up to you. You can go ahead and use weird plugins and, for example, use Infiltrator, use Rift, use Portal, and you can come up with so many cool textures, so many cool ambiences yourself as well. There are no limits.
So this is all for the tutorial. We hope that you learned something and you can use some of these techniques in your productions or tracks.
And if you want to support us and get the Ambience Pack, you can find it in the link in the description or go to 6sounds.com. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.
Bye bye.